ultimately what I saw is my wife, her health failing as she reached her mid to late 40s and just suffering. And they just said, you know what, that's part of it. And we learned about one test that a friend of mine in our industry said, you need to go do this test.
It's like, yes, I know how to get people to build muscle, and I know how to get people to lose fat. Like, that being said, if I'd have known this 8 years ago, I could have been that much better.
Two men, two different paths. One left a secure career in finance, the other chased a childhood dream inspired by Rocky. Now together, they're building something bigger than gyms, bigger than muscle. They're trying to rewrite what fitness really means.
I watched my family die of cancer and diabetes and obesity, and I realized that health and wellness, not necessarily reciprocal to fitness, and that no matter how much I was training people and I wanted to see their bodies change, a lot of them weren't.
You know, how many messages I've had over the years of, you know, well, Joe, should I train 6 days a week or 4? Well, what type of cardio should I do? Should I do this? Should I do carnivore? Should I do keto? My answer is now, I don't know. But there's a test that can tell you exactly what you need to do.
Anybody that's listening to this that may be suffering from symptoms, whether it's sleeplessness, restlessness, ADHD, irritable bowel, Crohn's, whatever it may be, there's a process that the body goes through. And what I've learned is that if you can stop that process from happening, then disease doesn't exist.
So break down BioCode for me.
So ideally, BioCode, you look at like phase 1 is typically going to be like a 6-week program where it's, okay, yes, we have to test, and the tests aren't immediate, right? It takes about 6 weeks to get a lot of these results back, or most of these results. So in the meantime, what we need to do is
Welcome back to The Hidden Hustle. Today we have Joe Tewell and Joe Laxton. Joe Tewell's company is Live Life Better, and Joe Laxton has Joe's Gym, and together they're joining forces to be a part of the X Factor Labs. And so just tell me a little bit about your guys' journey. You know, what take me back to the beginning. So what first pulled you into fitness and personal training?
Well, so I really started getting passionate about fitness at the age of 9. And it's going to sound crazy and pretty typical, but I went to the 1977, the movie Rocky, and I saw Rocky for the first time. And, you know, he was an underdog, much like me and my circumstances in that situation. I saw, you know, this guy go from a nobody to become, to get a fight for the world title. And he just had to get his mind right and his body right. And that just, man, I sat there with my eyes wide open and I was like, that is who I am. That's exactly what I'm going to be. And it wasn't much longer, probably about 2 or 3 months later, I got my first set of plastic and cement dumbbells and barbells. You probably know about those, Joe, but, and just started lifting, not even knowing what I was doing, but loved the feeling of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Mine was, you know, I was a very, very little kid. I mean, like tiny. Growing up, I was a runner, elite all-state cross country. I was a track runner. But I was always fascinated by bodybuilding, you know, kind of bodybuilding, especially in the 90s, guys like Dorian Yates, kind of came onto the scene. And I remember watching some of those, and just as a, you know, as a young man, I was like, man, that's, you know, that's amazing. And when I got out of high school was all about like performance. And then all of a sudden I just, you know, it just got more about cosmetic lifting. Like I just wanted to get big, and it just fascinated me. So I started lifting, and nobody on the planet got slower results than me. Like literally, like nobody. I was at Fitness World West. Remember that place?
I did.
And I was there for 9 months, and I went and seen some friends of mine. I was like 21 years old. I went and seen some friends of mine that I hadn't seen for a while. And they looked at me and they're like, dude, have you been lifting? And I'm looking like, you know, like back behind me, like, who are you talking to? Me? You know, all of a sudden I kind of pumped my chest up a little bit. I'm like, well, yeah, actually I have been. Like, I mean, how many people have you trained that it took 9 months for anybody to even notice? because people are always like, well, you don't get it. I'm like, no, trust me, I get it. It took me a very long time to get results, but I was hooked ever since at that point.
Right. Yeah. So was there ever a defining moment that made you realize like this isn't just a passion of yours, but something you want to pursue as a job and as a career?
So with me, there was a definite moment. I've always kind of been a radical. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. That's why I really don't get into a lot of hobbies, because I'm like, I don't have time to do it if I'm not going to take it serious. And when I was in my early 30s, I was about 33, 34 years old. I made the choice that I was going to do a bodybuilding show because I was frustrated, not getting the results that I wanted. And I just said, maybe I just need to go extreme with this. And I just decided, I was 16 weeks out from a show. I found one, went and hired a trainer. And I just said, I'm doing this. Like, tell me what I need to do. I'm going to forget everything I thought I knew. Let's go. And that was, and I fell in love with it. I mean, just the process, the clarity, there was a difference when you went from working out versus training. And I kind of flipped that switch to now I train versus work out. And I was just hooked.
Yeah.
It's the same drive, but maybe different vessels that got us there. I mean, this is something that Joe and I share is a really deep passion for fitness and what it entails. It's so much more than just vanity. It's performance. It's strength. It's mindset. It's discipline, and it elevates every area of your life. And I think that's where I really began to understand that, my circumstances when I was really young, when I was working out, I literally was working out because I lacked any kind of feeling of self-worth. And I was shy and timid, but yet angry. And I started working out, and the more I worked out, the more I had clarity in my ability and my desires. And I got to know a piece of me that I never knew before. Like, man, I am disciplined. I do want more. I am a winner. And I started really absolutely using those weights as almost like a weapon, and saying, I will graduate high school. First one to do that. I will go to college. And it just built like this momentum in my life. Mm-hmm. And I started looking at that as like, wow, this has the ability to help people form behaviors that will elevate them in every important area of their life. And so what the defining moment for when I realized this was what I was going to do, when I was 15, the chief of the fire department had heard about me working out from his son, and he hired me to come to his house to train him and to work him out. And I worked him out 3 days a week. And trust me, I was at that point collecting cans, doing whatever I could to make money. And he's paying me. I'm like, this is unbelievable. And I'm with the chief of the fire department, and I was never on that side of town. So it was like, this could be good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. So those first few years, like, was it just one client and then just after another? Like, did you start getting more clients after the firefighter, or was it like?
Well, yeah, I think I became the guy. I mean, that people would, always were intrigued by my progression, the changes in me. But in those days, I'm quite a bit older than Joe. There was no business or personal training unless you were elite. You were out in Venice Beach, California, right, which is where I aspired to be. I aspired to be there and training the best bodybuilders in the world. And even then it wasn't a business. Right. And so I was giving out a lot of information for free, and I wasn't even educated or equipped. But ultimately, I think just like Joe, the gym route was the way to go. And for me, I went to college, I got my education, and then I got my first job with Gold's Gym, the Mecca. That was my dream. And I knew day one, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I knew that I would be in the gym, in the business, owning my own business, inspiring people. And that energy has never left me yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Joe Laxton?
So mine was a little different. I actually, for 14 years, I was in financial planning.
Oh, okay.
So completely different, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, take a step back here, but and I enjoyed it. I put my time into it, did well at it, but there was just, it took me from West Des Moines down to Knoxville, Tennessee. I was down there for a while. My wife and I moved back to Iowa, and just something just, I don't know, it just, that spark wasn't there anymore. And that's when I was always a hobby lifter, and that's when I decided to start competing in bodybuilding. And I did my first show, loved it. Me and some other friends started a different business, not to go into, just to, for time purposes. Enjoyed it. But with bodybuilding and what I was able to do and how I shifted my body, aesthetics, mind, discipline, I'm like, I can help people here, because I was always fascinated with the topic. I had read about it, even all my days of financial planning. I'd sit at home reading about muscle protein synthesis and all the different geeked out stuff that you can get into. So, I understood it. But so I decided, like anybody, I'm going to put out information. Maybe I can make some extra money doing this. So I threw out a post on Facebook. I said, hey, I'm going to train 3 people. I'm going to do it for 9 weeks. And I did like this little challenge thing. And then what I didn't do was put parameters on where this was going to be. So I was living in Indianola, and everybody from Des Moines decided, I'll take you up on it. But I said I was going to do it, so I did it. And at the time, my wife was pregnant. I was prepping for another bodybuilding show, and I'm driving. I was doing my other business. I didn't own the gym at the time, and training myself, competing, pregnant wife at home, training these people at 3 different gyms. So I went and joined 3 gyms so I could train these people, because I said I would. And I'm driving home at 10 o'clock at night thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? But I said I was going to do it. So, right. So I always follow through on that. And next thing you know, I did my bodybuilding show, did very well at it. Fast forward the clock. My wife is now in the hospital in labor, and a couple of those people posted some pictures from the results. So here's my son getting born, and my phone's blowing up because of these 3 people I trained. One of them lost 100 pounds, not in the 9 weeks, but over time. And it just kind of, it really launched my business, but I didn't even have a location, which we can get into that here in a bit, because the location just kind of fell on me. But it just opened up a whole new door, but it was all off of almost like an accident.
Yeah. Can you relate to that?
Yeah. I think people that are drivers are people that are dreamers, and sometimes we don't have a real direction, but we have a purpose. And I think that's what this is. I think everybody that I've met that accelerates in the fitness arena, that's a leader, are driven people, incredibly great energy, high level people. And that's meeting Joe. I knew right away, this is a high level guy. You never know what he's going to say or what he's going to do, but he's a driver. And that's something we can talk about later, is why I wanted him to be on our team.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So how has Live Life Better kind of evolved over time?
Well, Live Life Better evolved over time when I watched my family die of cancer and diabetes and obesity. And here I was trying to get them to do more sets and more reps and cut their carbs, and just doing behavior changes and action changes and whatever the newest trends were. And I realized that health and wellness ultimately are not necessarily reciprocal to fitness, and that no matter how much I was training people and I wanted to see their bodies change, a lot of them weren't. And it's mostly just because they live in environments, they live in a mindset, that really is the opposite of what it takes to achieve wellness. And I decided that, you know what, I need to have more depth to how I'm helping people. And I just can't do, the traditional work harder, deprive and deny, no pain, no gain, because that was my mentality myself, bringing pain onto my body for strength. And understanding that I needed to really get to the core root and help people with their circumstances and their situations so that it can get into alignment with their fitness objectives. And that's kind of how Live Life Better evolved, that I really want people to live life better, not just get in shape, but live life better, be a better parent, a better spouse, a better leader. And really, that's what fitness is to me. It is being in excellence in all areas of your life.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about running a fitness business?
Man, I would say the biggest misconception is, one, the amount of time it's going to take. And that's just in business in general. And this is, I think a lot of people really mess this up because they think if I have the knowledge, if I know how to do a bicep curl, which everybody knows how to do a bicep curl, if I know how to set somebody's macros up, if I can show them the equipment, show them how to use it, that's what it's going to be. But at the end of the day, and this is pretty much business in general, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Like if you don't have a love for actually like people in general, and if you don't really have just a deep desire to improve people's lives, the fitness business is definitely not for you.
Great answer, Joe.
I mean, it's just messed up all the time. They might know everything, well, you supinate your thumb. Well, most people don't know what supinate means, turn your thumb out or, look, I want to sound intelligent. I want to sound scientific, but if I'm doing it to try and just get clout versus versus really speak to that person to, wake up whatever they need woken up to see their potential, or at least to wake them up to change their lives. Right. You have to speak their language.
I think you had to add to that. That's absolutely a great point. One of the other misconceptions is that there's a study out, and I don't know how accurate it is now. This was a study that was done probably 5 years ago by IRSA, that only 11 to 13% of our population will actually even look at a gym as a resource for their fitness needs. 11 to 13%. So really what's going on is a vast majority of these health clubs are just trading members. And so what people have this misconception that I'm going to go open a gym. I can't wait because I love it. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to have the best equipment. But the majority of the population don't love it like you do. And a vast majority of people will say their health and their fitness is one of those pinnacles in their life that's important, but I guarantee it's the one that they will absolutely kick to the curb first when things change. So you gotta really understand your niche and your role. And that's what we're doing, is we're diversifying fitness to a market that is in real need and our culture. And that's what X Factor's doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How did the two of you decide to join forces with X Factor?
Well, can I just start this really quickly?
Yeah.
I've always known about Joe, and I've been in the business so long, and 40 years, a long time. And I consider myself an expert in this industry. I do, just by definition. The hours and the education and the certifications, I've trained management. So my standards are high, and honestly, I think Des Moines is short of some good leaders in what fitness and wellness is. And Joe, I had known about through clients that were trying to get into elite level shape for contests. That's hard as a coach. That's a different level of coaching. Because you gotta know what you're doing. And I know that I go to a lot of these fitness shows, a lot of these bodybuilding shows, and his athletes always either win or do really good. And all of his athletes speak highly of him. And then I met him. And the thing is, I was looking at him about 2 weeks before I really met him on Facebook. It's weird. And I saw his love for his kids and his wife. And then I'm like, okay, that that's what we need, leaders that are family driven, that have values, that are true professionals. And then I met Joe at a track meet, and we were launching X Factor, just throwing it together. And I got to meet him that day. And when he left the track meet, I told Jim, our founder, we need to get Joe Laxton on our team. Let's get Joe into our circle. Mm-hmm. And here he is.
Yeah. So my story with that was my son was at a track meet and I had to take a break to go pee. So I walked by his booth and they're like, well, they got some supplements over there. And I'm like, I like talking supplements. So I walk over and you're Joe Laxton. I'm like, yes, I am. We need to talk. And, all of a sudden, and then I start talking to Jim and I'm like, man, I like these guys. I don't know what they're doing, and I call my wife like right away. I'm like, I just had one of the most interesting, odd, crazy conversations I think I've ever walked from just a trip to go pee, Yeah. But then I'm like, well, I got to get back in touch with him. So I'm searching. I actually sent you a message. And I don't think you returned it for like 48 hours, FYI. But it was just one of those, like, and then all of a sudden we all met up and I'm like, it showed me the vision. And it was like, it was everything I had, and I've been studying a lot of what we're doing for like the last year, but I didn't know how to put it into practice. It was still a little bit. And all of a sudden you guys already had like, well, yeah, the system's this. And it was just like, this is exactly what I need to be aligned with. And then obviously meeting up and everybody was just, I'm like, we're all on the same page. And, and obviously with business partnerships, that's a rarity.
Yeah. So tell me more about the vision for X Factor Labs and BioCode.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about X Factor Labs, and I'll let Joe touch on BioCode because he excels in a lot of that. With systems and sales, Joe's awesome at all that. That's why he's here. But X Factor Labs is something that has evolved over time, and I could get into a huge rabbit hole here because it's a personal story. I'm not going to do that. But ultimately what I saw is my wife, her health failing as she reached her mid to late 40s in that perimenopause period of time. And just suffering. Almost to the point, I kid you not, that I wasn't sure I could continue this relationship. And she was weight gain, irritable, anxious, not sleeping, hair falling out, menstruation, just crazy stuff going on. And the doctors couldn't help. She was a pincushion. They were like, it went from, your thyroid's not working, we may need to remove that, to, well, you need a complete hysterectomy, to you're depressed, we think you need medication. And all along, as she's going through using their prognosis and then using their protocol for her, just kept gaining weight. And they just said, you know what, that's part of it. And we learned about one test that a friend of mine in our industry said, you need to go do this test. Mm-hmm. It was a DNA test. And that DNA test, I was reluctant, trust me, very reluctant. And then we did the DNA test and we found out about MTHFR and we found out about mutations. We found about methylation and detoxification that wasn't happening. And we made adjustments with nutrition and lifestyle and everything. I don't want to exaggerate, but her conditions improved within about 6 weeks to a level that there were no symptoms. Mm-hmm. And she got into the best shape of her life because of the adjustments that we made because of this information. And that's when I realized how many years I've spent trying to help people and honestly relying on my knowledge and my experience without knowing exactly what was going on in their biology and then selling that as customized health and wellness. Mm-hmm. That's no longer the case. And what we're doing at X Factor is we're really allowing people to have a deep inside look at what's going on in their biology laying out the formation to correct that through lifestyle, through nutrition, through mindset, through, exercise. And it's amazing the transformations that I've seen, because now somebody like Joe, someone like me, we can literally get rid of all the guesswork. And now be a practitioner that knows exactly what's going on in someone's cells, in the mitochondria, what's going on in their gut, what's going on in their DNA, and create programming around that. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable what we can do now because of our knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
And I totally agree with that, because I've had some big success in the industry. I was the NPC Midwest Coach of the Year 2 of the last 4 years. I've helped 34 people lose over 100 pounds in 8 years. I mean, it's not that coaches can't go help people do things, but at the same time, just because they lost weight, are they healthier now? Yes, I know how to get people to build muscle, and I know how to get people to lose fat. Like, I don't know how to open the hood of my car, but I know how to do those two things, right? Like, I have gotten that down. That being said, if I'd have known this 8 years ago, I could have been that much better. And I got to the point in my own conscience where I'm like, I would tell people that I write custom plans. And I got to the point, I'm like, I don't think I can say that anymore, because just because I write it does not mean it's not customized to them. So we talk about BioCode. The amount of conversations that I have had, debates, arguments, whatever, friendly discussions over the years of who was right, Mike Mentzer or Arnold Schwarzenegger. And if you don't know them, it's irrelevant. But they had two different training philosophies, and I'm a type of guy, it's like option A or B. Well, there's also option C. Maybe they're both right. They were just different people. Mm-hmm. You can have a peanut butter jelly sandwich and you're fine. The next person has one and it's an EpiPen nightmare because they're allergic to peanuts. So again, it's not like there cannot be a cookie cutter system out there, but how much time, money, energy, frustration that people go through when now people ask me things like this: Joe, what supplements should I take? And my response is, I don't know. What are you deficient in?
Right.
And then they respond with, well, I don't know either. I go, well, here we are. I used to answer that.
Yep.
I can't answer that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know. What are we deficient in? What have you, well, what are you taking now? Well, do you know if your body can even absorb that or not? How many messages I've had over the years of, well, Joe, should I train 6 days a week or 4? I don't know anymore. I don't know. My answer is now, I don't know. But there's a test that can tell you exactly what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Well, what type of cardio should I do? Should I do this? Should I do carnivore? Should I do keto? Should I do, zone? All these different name diets. And, I listened to this podcast and I listened to this one influencer. And then Joe Rogan had whoever on and he mentioned such and such. And I said, well, you're listening to a lot of people, but you're not listening to your genetics. It's like, yeah, your genetics will tell you exactly what you need to do. And as a coach, I'm not better than some other coach. I just have different information. Mm-hmm. I'm confident that the plans, the amount of what I have seen with consultation calls, looking at their genetics, looking at their deficiencies, and it's like, here's this big giant puzzle that is now just being put together right before their eyes. And it's literally this symptom's linked to this. So, okay, this is why you feel this way, is because this is low. And this is why this doesn't work. And it's just like these clients, it's like the amount of hope and excitement that they're having, because it is literally like somebody's putting a puzzle piece, an entire puzzle right before their eyes. Right. That's explaining their life and their frustrations.
Yeah.
You know what I've learned in this, Parks, that is powerful. And anybody that's listening to this that may be suffering from symptoms, whether it's sleeplessness, restlessness, ADHD, irritable bowel, Crohn's, whatever it may be, there's a process that the body goes through. And what I've learned is that if you can stop that process from happening, then disease doesn't exist. And so what happens is there's 3 things. The body is exposed every single day to high levels of inflammation, whether it's carcinogenic, whether it's it's oxidative stress, whether it's environmental stress. Toxins and carcinogens are everywhere, and we ingest them through the pores of our skin. The foods that we eat are processed and refined and stripped of nutrition. That creates inflammation. And so when inflammation happens, that's when people start having symptoms. And so when your body becomes inflamed, it cannot detoxify efficiently, which means your liver's not working right, your kidney's not working right, your colon and your bowels are not working right, and therefore methylation doesn't occur. And so that is where disease starts, when your body cannot break down the food that you're eating, in layman's terms, and remove toxicity out of the system and move that nutrition into the cells to rebuild and rejuvenate. You're aging faster biologically than you are chronologically. Your immune system is suppressed. Your metabolic system is suppressed. And now we know that 83% of Americans have metabolic syndrome. That's a classified disease, that their metabolic system isn't working properly. And so what I now know through these testing, that we can determine the rate of inflammation, detoxification, and methylation. Mm-hmm. You think about that. If we can understand somebody's rate of those three things and how efficient they are, how much longer the quality of our life will be. I can't guarantee the years, mm-hmm. but I can guarantee the quality. And that's where I see this as something like people will seek out, because healthcare is bending, where it's no longer sick care. It's about, I'm going to take control of it, and it's going to be progressive because I own my health. I own it. And in the past, it's been, we're diagnosed and then we just go and fall prey to the protocol. And now we can get to root causes.
Mm-hmm. I just had a client that was spending over $300 a month on supplements. And after her test was confirmed, everything that we did, half of what she was taking was literally not even absorbable for her body. Some of it was actually inflammatory. The free radicals, or the free radical scavengers, the antioxidants that she was taking, weren't even protective for her body. Yeah. It's like, how many times we take something, they're like, well, so-and-so said this. I'm like, look, if your body can't process it, if it's not protective, if it's not beneficial, don't waste your time.
So break down BioCode for me from the phase 1 through 3.
Yes. So ideally, BioCode, you look at like phase 1 is typically going to be like a 6-week program where it's, okay, yes, we have to test, and the tests aren't immediate, right? It takes about 6 weeks to get a lot of these results back, or most of these results. So in the meantime, what we need to do is we need to create habits. The whole thing is, what you do on a daily basis is what is going to produce your future and your outcome. So if you work with a coach and you can start looking at some movement, cleaning up your diet, we talk about detoxification. It's, my opinion, the best way to detox and get your body back to baseline is just stop putting all the junk in. That's your best protocol. Stop putting junk in. Let's clean up your diet. There are some things that people can take, and not to dive into it, but there's some things that can help kind of, speed that process along. But for the most part, a whole food type thing. We're not going to just sit and say, here's, $700 worth of supplements that you need. It's going to be, let's fix this with whole foods. Let's clean your diet up. Let's get you in some movement patterns. Let's get you in a better mental state and physical state through nutrition and movement. And then also just habit tracking, just having somebody to be accountable to. It's just, every high performer has somebody that they're accountable to. It amazes me as adults don't want to be held accountable. Well, if you don't want to be held accountable, don't complain about your life later on. It's like, you have to be accountable to something because we all need it. Everybody needs it. So then we get the test results back. So the whole thing comes down to test, Taylor, right? And then we have
train.
Right. So, and then we train. So test, tailor, train, transform. Test, tailor, train, transform. You have to test. How should I work out? I don't know. Let's test. What should I supplement? I don't know. Let's test. How should I eat? Should I do high carb? Should I do, low carb? I don't know. Test. Now we can tailor a plan for that individual based on their genetics. Now we can get them the path. Now you run it. Now you train with the plan that we gave you. Then you have real transformation in your life. And it's not just transformation to say, oh, I lost 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. It's now this is going to be the successful plan that you did, because over 90% of people who lose weight gain it all back. And they do it because they don't test, tailor, train, and transform. They just do whatever gimmick is out there, or, whatever is out there that just some influencer said. We are going to test their genetics, and then we're going to give them that real, true customized plan, something we can actually say is customizable. Then that is that next phase is, now let's run this plan out. Now we have all of your information. Now we can really tailor this plan, run with the plan, have somebody to hold your hand, hold you accountable to what you're doing, ask all your questions, go through the ups and the downs. It's not easy. I mean, it's not. It's frustrating. There are times you're going to be hungry. Yeah, there's times you're going to be, falling off the wagon, and, it's Bob's birthday at work and they brought cake, and it's like, well, and I ate 3 pieces more than I should have. And how many people have you trained that's eaten cake? Every one of mine does. Does it derail them? It shouldn't, but having somebody to not, feel all that guilt, because then people start, oh man, I let Joe down. And it's just like, look, we're human. I like cake too.
I think what Joe's saying ultimately, is what we're trying to get away from is just exchanging habits and behaviors. Like a program like 75 Hard. You know what? Great. Go do it. I've had a lot of clients that do it, but understand that was never a design for a fitness nutritional agenda. That was a mindset thing.
Yep.
And so what happens on day 77, 78? People typically go right back to the person that got them in a place where they needed help. And so what this program, it's comprehensive, because we test you and then we tailor the program based on the results and the analysis. And then we train you based, again, on the test results. And then we can guarantee a transformative reaction from that, because ultimately what we've created, my point being, is like a scorecard, because we understand that you have to change your lifestyle, and we want it to be a part of that. So we've created like a scorecard for clients, for our coaches to use, so that it can make this journey fun and educational for the client.
Right. Yeah. So not only is, X Factor Labs BioCode for clients, but also there's a trainer benefit as well. So tell me more about X Factor Ops and how that plays a role in the X Factor Labs.
Yeah. So that is where we really excel at, is, for the most part, you go get your NASM certification, you go get your ACE certification, whatever certifications are out there. One of the things they do not teach you is how to go build a business now. Right. And that's kind of business is one of those, there are landmines everywhere. And you've been in business for a long time. Jim's been in business for a long time. I've been in business for a long time. I've made every mistake that you can possibly make, and some I probably shouldn't have even made. Right. And I've had business coaches that every time I've had them, business got better. So we learn from this. So we have a system where we can bring coaches in and teach them how to do the marketing, how to set up automation, how to, program and read through this. We have a BioCode certification, right? Let's get you certified in understanding and how to interpret genetic data, because if you're not setting yourself apart now, this is going to be the future. It's like, I've said this a few times, but it's like, imagine a chiropractor doesn't have access to an X-ray. Yeah, they're not going to be as effective of a chiropractor. Well, if they don't have access to someone's genetic information, how can you possibly right? So we're going to teach people how to implement all of this into their business, because at the end of the day, our goal is to help 1 million people. You and I cannot help 1 million people. I don't have enough time.
Right.
But how do you go do that? Well, you go get a bunch of coaches who are passionate about this, coaches that are very receptive to learning something new and understanding the wave of the future and not holding on to counting reps and macros. And I mean, ChatGPT is doing that for half of the people out there now, right? So we can't go help 1 million people unless we have a coaching system that we can go spread this to the masses, because that's what's needed right now.
So what's going to happen, Parks, is we're going to develop a platform for those trainers that are passionate, that love fitness, that love wellness, that love health, but are in a box. And a lot of them are working for those big box gyms for minimal money, and their value is flat. And so what we're going to do is we're creating a system where we can bring coaches on board and give them a complete business model, independent with their brand, but using all of our tools, right, all of our skills, all of our knowledge, and we're going to teach them how to execute that in their own business. Mm-hmm. And test, tailor, train, transform is the process, and we're providing a complete platform for them, teaching them how to market their own. This is an opportunity for them to have their own business and become somebody that is an authority in the industry, and for people that will seek you out. That's when this becomes powerful, when you become the authority, when people start looking at you as we can bring Joe over to talk to our school board about the lack of nutrition in our schools. That's who Joe Laxton is. We want all trainers to get to that level. We feel that it's that important.
Yeah.
And this is a platform that will give them instant credibility, but also the tools to be successful, and we'll support them in it and teach them how to deliver it.
Yeah. So if I'm a personal trainer right now listening, how would X Factor Ops change my career?
So one of the things that we would be looking at is, what are you currently doing? Mm-hmm. And for the most part, most people are running things with a Google Doc. You know, they're going to ask you, you know, hey, I'm a personal trainer. I'm going to sit down with a client and I'm going to get their goals. I'm going to see what they've done in the past. And then I'm going to see what kind of foods they like. And then I'm going to write a customized plan for you, which that's what every trainer is doing out there at this point. They're not setting themselves apart. So then people start looking at, okay, well, what is it that I'm going to invest? Well, people are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on websites, which, I mean, we've had calls on this. I mean, websites are dead. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know if you need to cut that out, but I mean, in my opinion, websites are dead. I have a website, and I don't get anything from it personally. It doesn't make me money. But landing pages are different. And you start looking at automation. When I started in this, people were like, well, where's your email list? I'm like, I don't have one. And they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't have an email list. And I mean, I had some decent success, but it's like, if I would have had X Factor Ops when I started this, oh my goodness, this would have been so much better.
Yeah. Because
it's not just, yes, I could have performed way better for my clients, but the frustration and the time and I'm busy. I got 2 kids in sports. I'm married, and it's, not having automation, not understanding an email list, not understanding landing pages, not understanding, scheduling. I was talking with you in the lobby. I don't schedule anything anymore. Yep. I don't check my calendar. I send people my link and they click it. So we're going to create an entire system that duplicates that. And then we're going to go through training. How do we move people forward? How do we do marketing? What does marketing need to be like? Do we need fake marketing like they're talking on Instagram at this point? No, absolutely not. I mean, people need to have authentic marketing. They need access to it, but they need a coaching system that, hey, look over my program I'm running. Mm-hmm. Run it by Joe, who's done this a ton of times. I didn't have anybody to run anything off of, and I would run different programs, and well, that didn't work. Well, let me try the next one, right? We have coaches like, myself and Joe that can go through and look at, okay, what is the challenge that you're running? What is your offer? Tell me when you get somebody on the phone, what are you saying to them? How are we moving people forward to getting into our system? Because again, no transformation is going to happen if we can't get people to move forward.
And you know what? That's such a good point, Joe, is because what I hear a lot of young trainers say is, I want to do this full time, but I'm also having to work on the weekends. I wait tables, but eventually my client load will pick up. And then ultimately I get talking to them about how they market themselves. And like, well, I try to get a lot of referrals, but I don't like sales. I don't really consider myself a salesperson. And I will tell them that's a problem right there, because you don't see yourself as a salesperson. All of us are salespeople, especially when you're in business. If you're not marketing, you're not growing. And so what we're doing is, both of us are so similar on that level. Most trainers, I hope I'm not offending anybody, but most trainers are not good business people. They're just not.
Right.
And when I met Joe, it's his financial background. It's his financial sales and the things that he's done. He has a mind for business. And I think this is a huge thing that we can accelerate for young trainers to teach them how to market, because they have a system and they have a product that people are going to find desirable.
Right. No, I think shifting that mindset from sales and selling to helping. You're providing value in a service. It's something that you're helping someone with. You're not selling them.
There is that negative thing of sales. Yeah. Teachers are salespeople. I have a 9-year-old. I hope that teacher sells him on learning every day.
Right. Yeah. What impact do you want X Factor Labs to have on American health and fitness?
What I want X Factor Labs to have an impact on our country is to allow people to understand that they are in control of their health. They are in control of their behavior. They're in control of their habits, which ultimately are the guiding factors to their genetics, their cellular health, their gut efficiency, all of the things that we've been told are either just you're getting older or you were born that way. This can empower our culture to understand that their health and wellness really is right in their hands. And we're going to give them the information that makes this no more guessing, no more doing trends, no more chasing programs, but a simple test that can lay out a lifestyle, create the environment, and a nutritional program that is good for not just you, but your family. And then have impact on our nation so that we're not leading the way in prescription drugs and obesity and sickness. The United States of America spends 5 times more on healthcare than any other industrialized nation, but yet we have the highest mortality rates. So we're spending more money on doctors, more money on drugs, more money on research. We have the most knowledge, the most resources, and we're dying the quickest. And that's what we want to change.
Yep. Well, and that's where we come in. Joe and I don't have the capabilities to helping that many people ourselves. Yeah. So our legacy is going to be in where it's no, hopefully you have all these American families that thank a coach that is hooked up with X Factor Labs that shared with them why they need to do this and literally went and changed their lives because, we could go help 1 million people do this, but that's going to take a lot of coaches. Right. And it's going to take coaches that understand and embrace, look, we are here to serve. Yes, people need to be profit driven and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, you go help enough people and people will bend over backwards and you're going to do well financially. If you help enough people, you will be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Tenfold. But going out and working for money, people get burnt out of that. But when you start changing lives and then they pay you to do it, that you can't replace that. But but where we come in is it's the only way that legacy happens is if we have enough coaches. Mm-hmm. We need a large amount of coaches that embrace the wave of the future, that we can go help those 1 million people.
Yeah. Passionate.
Yeah.
Driven.
Awesome. All right. Well, for anyone curious about the BioCode programs or X Factor Ops, links will be down in the description below. And as always, keep hustling.